Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome along to round number 5 of the SIMSTAFF sponsored SOP Motorsport Sprint Series. He does love those names, this Simon. It is, as I say, it's round number 5, and as you can see, it's Paul Ricard, one of the boss man's favourite tracks. I have to admit, he has won me over slightly with this one. He's still wrong about Belgium, Spa number 1 all the way. His favourite Zolder was the track that started off the series, Bathurst, Hungaroring and Zandvoort. We have visited so far, which has given us a phenomenally close competition up at the top of the field. And once again, joining me to look over the tables and preside over the action, it is his favourite track. It is Mr. SOP himself. It's Simon Baggis. How are we doing this week, Simon?
Hello, good evening, good evening. Yes, I couldn't miss this one for the world because, like you just said, Paul Ricard is one of my favourite tracks here in ACC, so I had to jump in the booth and join you for this one.
Absolutely, and yeah, it should be a good one. We're down on drivers this evening. I'm just looking, where is the SOP broadcast so I can tune in as well? Have we popped up yet?
I believe so.
There we go. There we
Yep,
go. I was panicking. I thought we were live. Yeah, the silvers are out at the moment. So while they are, let's have a quick look at this championship. And as I say, it could not be closer in both the silvers and the pros. Quick look at the pros. We can see that it's Rev6 who's not racing tonight. 4 points ahead of his teammate Dan Watts. It's only 4 points separating the top two. There is 30 points separating Watts from Page, and then a further 22 points back to Peter Brett, Ben Neergaard and Jonathan Reed. 5th and 6th, Alberto Alvarez, been out for a year, still in the top 10. Joe Boyle, phenomenal strategy in defending last week, saw him bring home a season best 5th to see him sitting 8th in the championship, joining his RTO brethren in the top 10, Abe Santema and James Mead, rounding out the top 10 in the pros. And in the silvers, 2 points separating the top 3. Tony Frasina, Chris Fielder and James Rollins, the main protagonists in that one. Lurking not too far back, Mustafa Ranjbar, only 10 points adrift, and no Klaus Christensen this evening, so Nelson Abrinhosa and David Danzer could be looking at positional improvements in the table if they bring it home tonight. Euphoric State in 8th, Reyes Gabriel Faltea in 9th, and Armands Petrovics in 10th position. 56 points off the top spot pace. But yes, Simon, as we see sometimes coming in, the pros only 4 points separating the two RTO drivers, with one of them a no-show. But in the silvers, always so close in the silver class, 2 points separating the top 3, with Frasina on 104, Fielder and Rollins on 102 points each, and it's Rollins and Frasina almost leading the charge up at the top of qualifying at the moment.
Yeah, it's looking to be a brilliant qualifying for the silvers today. The usual protagonists that are now making their way to the front of the silver championship to be fighting it out once again. Like you said, Frasina won last time out. He's got the 30 kg ballast, so he's definitely going to be hampered in this one. Ranjbar with the 20 kg, currently top of the timing sheet, so he surely must be happy with that. As I say, that Fielder comes through and pops it into P1. But we don't actually have the man who finished 3rd place at the last round here today, Euphoric State. He is missing in action, so he won't be capitalising on back-to-back good results. And yeah, another one to watch is going to be David Dancer. Something actually is wrong with his current standings because the SimGrid website hasn't actually taken off his worst round. So he should actually potentially be leading this championship with 3 podium positions to his name. Because I believe he's missing around 30 points if the drop round was in effect on his name, but he seems to be the only one because he withdrew and didn't post up a result for the last round. SimGrid hasn't recognised that, and so it hasn't taken into effect his drop round. So I do believe David Dancer is there or thereabouts with leading the championship in the silver class.
Right. Okay. Oh well, we'll keep an eye on that over the next couple of weeks and see. So when do you think that'll get fixed then? Because that is quite a big thing, obviously, for
Hopefully
Dancer.
tonight.
Hopefully.
Hopefully
Fingers
tonight.
crossed. Get it together, says Leon.
Well, basically, what I need to do is once we have the results from today's race, I need to see if it takes it off his total then. But if it doesn't, I can just amend his race result from the previous round to either be a did not start or a did not finish because it hasn't recognised him as racing at all. So I just need to amend his results from the previous round, and then it should work straight away.
Excellent. Quick hi to everybody in the chat. How you all doing? We've got Floppy Fox, we've got Marcus Jusma, oi, Savoy, and Mr. Linksay in there as well. The Fox, not looking forward to this. Michael Firth in the Ferrari. Floppy Fox, Michael Firth in the Ferrari. Nice. We're liking that. That's Jusma getting another mention. There's Leon Seeley. He's life coaching tonight, Simon. So not only quick on the track, you'll get your life sorted out off. Speaking of sorting your life out off track, Dr. Nailbender. Good evening, sir. How are you? 2 of my broadcasts you've been in today. Lovely to see you, my man. I've been missing you on Red Dead. We'll hopefully get you back on tonight. There is Raf as well. Hello, lads. Leon with a double lol. Looking forward to this one tonight. Been well, need zero expectation for tonight for Floppy Fox. Do I can though. You're repping the mighty Ferrari. Quick look at qualifying note. The silvers are almost out of time. 10 minutes 56 left on the clock. It's Chris Fielder who is leading the charge with his SOP teammate James Rollins. 2 tenths back in second. Tony Frasina for M4R Squadra. He is in third place. Ranjbar and Danzer 4th and 5th. Pestrovics 1.5 off the pace at the moment. Nelson Abrahmosa also 1.5 off the pace. David Williamson. He has set a time, yes. It is Christoph Reuschutz that hasn't set a time, and he isn't going to because we can see the pros are already queuing up. Space and qualifying. Never heard of it. Certainly not in the top division. But going at the moment, Simon, you've got more knowledge as to what cars do well or what around whichever track. Aston's doing the job in the silver class with the Porsche not too far behind. Is that as you would expect, or is that down to driver talent?
A bit of driver talent, bit around the strength of these cars. Aston and BMW, you definitely expect to be up here at Paul Ricard. Ferrari can sometimes be a dark horse in qualifying, but it will 100% struggle in the race. And then I'm not too sure with the Mercedes, to be honest. The Honda should be very strong as well. But yeah, Mercedes is one that slipped my mind with how good it is or not. I can't really remember. McLaren, well, he hasn't been able to put a lap down, but Rauschutz there in P10 of the silvers. If he was able to get a lap in, McLaren is absolutely rocket around here in the right hands. But we'll see what these pros can do, because as we know, all championship long has been about the BMWs at the front of the field. So we'll see what they can do here against one another, against these Aston Martins. Yeah, this should be a very good qualifying for the pros, as all the silvers are done and dusted.
Not quite. Mustafa Ransbar still on a lap. He's 4/10 of a second up and is actually threatening to join Fielder on the front row of the grid as he comes down the last corner. A couple of drivers so far have fluffed their lines, so to speak, around the last corner. Ransbar keeps the time. Oh, look how close that is. 0.2, almost identical times for Rawlings and Ransbar. So it is an Aston Martin 1, 2, 3 as Chris Fielder takes the top spot for the Silvers. It's Rawlings in second and Ransbar in third. As I say, almost identical times there for those two drivers. Let's just have a look at that. And there we can see at the moment the purple sector is going with Fielder and Rawlings. 2 and 1 each. The pros are going to set some times very soon. 20 kilograms of ballast there for Ransbar, so still did really well to get it as close to pole position as he did, considering the ballast he was carrying. And Fresina as well, 30 kg of ballast, 3/10 of a second off, and massive 4/10 back to David Danzer in the BMW. So in the Silvers, the BMW, not the OP car. We do have a ding-a-ling message just appeared, and that notification was obscured, so let me just very quickly pop that there. Thank you very much, Tropic. There we go. Thank you very much. Resubscribe. 13 months with the Prime subscription. So thank you very much, Chris. Good to see you in here. Good qualifying time. What is your thoughts on the race? Do we reckon we're in for the race win here tonight? Are you going to take the class win? Fresina in 4th, Danzer 5th, Petrovic in 6th, Abramhosa in 7th, Williamson in 8th, and it is Roy Schutz in the McLaren. Didn't get a time set, so he will start right at the back of the field. Out on track now though, it is the pros, and there is one Dan Watts, very quick, part of course, the RTO team. And where is the screen I am looking for? There we go. At the moment, he is second in the championship by only 4 points, but no Sigurd Revsik this week. So it's all down to Dan, and he does have a 30-point gap over Liam Page. So he will lead this championship after tonight's race if he finishes, and he doesn't even need to finish on the podium to make it a comfortable race and keep himself head and shoulders above the rest of the field. Is he likely to take it easy tonight? No. On 62 points, Ben Nergard and Jonathan Reed. Nergard at the moment out on track. Reed hasn't set a time yet, so it'll be an interesting battle between these two. And of course, Alberto Alvarez. Been out for a year, made an absolute flying comeback so far, finishing comfortably inside in every race bar one. He's dropped round, and as Simon mentioned as well, that's a lot for you to digest there, Simon, as well. But you did mention that the Mercedes was quite good here. We saw the BMW struggle slightly in the Silvers. Joe Boyle, we saw his racecraft last week getting himself that 5th position. Could he be a bit of a dark horse here tonight at Ricard?
100% he could be a bit of a dark horse. If he didn't have the single lap pace, you know, he's got the racecraft to move himself up the order. Something to take into account is Paul Ricard is very harsh on track limit penalties, so it wouldn't surprise me if we see 1 or 2 drivers at least picking up drive-through penalties for that if they're not careful. And then, as long as you can stay in the bump draft or slipstream down that long back straight, you're in with a shout of taking as many positions as you really want to, because yeah, in that bump draft you can overtake anybody. It doesn't matter how fast they are in qualifying. Once you've got that bump draft, you're just going to slipstream straight past them on the straight, so could all be for nothing.
Oh, and I'm not on Steam. There we go. It'll be an interesting race this evening. Cheers, mate. A bit disappointed. Had some dodgy bits I could have cleaned up, but it was enough in the end, I guess. Indeed. Pole position. It's the best place to start. No idea what the race is going to be like. as long as it put enough fuel in this time. Yeah, that was a fairly heartbreaking sight last week, Simon, watching the car slowly but surely and then not reach the finish line with a distinct lack of fuel. So definitely for any budding sim racers that are out there, top strategic tip, have enough fuel to get to the end, would you say, Simon?
Yeah, they're not going to make the same mistake twice, you would think. Running out of fuel on the final corner. Yeah. Hopefully there's no repeat of that.
Indeed. We have Salvo Racing Sim 84 Forza Fresena. He is a fan of Tony's. We've got Timmy Lettinen. I hope I'm doing that justice. Go Marco, go! Mollinger straight in then, lol. Yeah, what is... That is your name, isn't it? Mollinger on the top row. Marco Mollinger for the TMMS Performance team. He's actually got... Timmy Leitinen is in the chat cheering him on. Simon, not there, is a speedy boy. So, Marco Mollinger then. He is quick at the moment, 52.8. I don't have any background on this driver. A new name to me. Is he? Are you aware of this? Of Marco Mollinger, Simon?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. He's joining us for some competitions, and this is his first outing, just to see how fast he is, just to see his race craft. Well, I know how fast he is anyway, but yeah, this is just to basically prove how fast he is in a race situation.
Okay, excellent. Well, he's certainly getting it done in qualifying at the moment. He's 0.7 of a second ahead of Dan Watts. Not too shabby at all. It's Ethan Faulkner in third place at the moment with Liam Page in fourth. Nergard is winning the battle over Reed. He's in fifth with Thorburn in sixth. Juiceman seventh. Reed there in eighth place. Joe Boyle in ninth. Floppy Fox in 10th. And it is Albie Alvarez in 11th position for the pros. So 11 of them have set times. There's a 2-second difference between them. We've got 1 minute left. Alvarez should get this and one more lap. There's the BMW Mollinger in the background. He should get another lap as well. Nergard and Thorburn are done with qualifying. And at the moment, it is Jonathan Reed and Liam Page. I'll tell you what, if that delta is correct, Liam Page has absolutely cracked it, although he's just dropped a little bit of time there. No, he's still looking very good at the Sector 3. I was questioning whether the BMWs had finally found their match this season with the Aston Martins. Liam Page is about to put that thought firmly to bed. The camera moved for no reason whatsoever. Let's jump back on and see him coming through sectors 3. Oh, he's lost a bit of time, but he's still carrying. Mollinger carrying time as well. He's going to need to carry time because Page is looking very quick. Oh, he's dropped 0.3 of a second through those two corners. He's still got some too good time, but it's going to be so close between himself and Mollinger on the front row. And that one didn't count. Okay. All the hype and excitement for no reason. It said he was 1.3 up, and it said he was a second up on his time as he crossed the line. I'm having words with Pitwall. Confusing is definitely the word. 1 minute 55. So he will. Oh no, he won't get to 52.8. Isn't that basically esports pace? It's pretty quick, and it's 52.7. He's just done, and I think he's going to get another lap in as well. Page, not his best lap. Yeah, well, he's certainly on one again. 52.7.
Oh, they both got flying laps left in them, have they?
I think they
To
have.
cross the line in enough time. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think they did. Ethan Faulkner for Distinct GG crosses the line. He's third place at the moment. Liam Page looking to overturn that. Albie Alvarez out of sorts in qualifying, finds himself in 11th and at the back of the Pro Pack. Just over 2 seconds off the pace. 1 minute 54.8. Still watching Liam Page though, Mollinger, and I tell you what, Page is looking at potentially the front row here. Although the last time it did this to me, I did end up with a lot of egg on my face, so we'll see what actually happens when he crosses the line. And that is the final corner. He's coming through. He does have a bit of time there. Is it going to be enough to make a difference? Oh, he's lost a bit out of the last corner. Dives for the line. One improvement up into third position then. But it is Mollinger. His first event, and he does, in fact, take pole position. Dan Watson second, Liam Page in third. So the BMW dominance, Simon, absolutely continuing, and even with new drivers coming in. And, yeah, a rarity there. All three purple sectors going to the one driver. So, yeah, any thoughts I had about Aston Martin's bringing the fight, the BMW drivers have put them firmly back to rest.
Yeah, we said before the pro qualifying that it was going to be the BMWs. BMW was just phenomenal around Paul Ricard. A couple of 53s. I sort of kind of expected Mollinger. He said before the race that he can do 52, so that was expected. But 53s are super fast anyway. So yeah, the fact that he's over 8/10 quicker than the rest of the field against Watts and Page, who have been fighting for the championship since the first round, is testament to how fast he is. It's just a shame that, like you said, Refstig's not here. Shame that Peter Brett, the winner last time round, isn't here. I would imagine it would have been a much closer qualifying had those drivers been here as well.
Yeah, I would have thought so, yeah. And would have made for an amazing race over the front. Still got one round to go though, so hopefully we'll get those drivers back. Peter Brett's actually in the chat as well. So good afternoon, acknowledging that Marco is very speedy, quick, and he certainly is. He's going to start on pole position side by side with Dan Watson and Page and Faulkner on row 2. Nergard and Reed side by side. So Reed pulled it out, and half a tenth separating their times. They've got 62 points each. So it really is down to the next two races to see who gets the honours in the overall standings. Thorburn and Dusma on row number 4. Boyle and Fielder will start on row 5. So two of the silvers getting ahead of two of the pros, and another two silvers getting ahead of a single pro, with it being Ransbar in 14th. 13th, 14th is Frisina. Alvarez starting in 15th, 11th in class. Then it's Danzer, Petrovic, Abrinhosa, Williamson, and Roy Schutz, as we mentioned. So the drivers will make their final changes.
Yeah, don't forget as well, Liam Page had 10 kg ballast as well, so his time would have been hampered a little bit. But again, just in chat, some of the guys are mentioning why some of the drivers got ballast. Basically, it was because of their results in the previous rounds. So if you finished first, second, or third in any of the rounds previous, you go into the next round with 30, 20, and 10 kg ballast, just as a way to level out the field through the entire championship.
Yeah, success ballast. It's been quite a successful addition to the series over the months, that is for sure. Guys and girls in the chat, if we could keep it all in English, so if everyone can enjoy the chat as well, that would be great. Thank you very much. But Geocast87, cheers for jumping in to the chat and saying hello. We've got a follow as well. Cam Martineau, thank you very much for the follow. Rush race, of course, that was at the last race. And again, Simon, a quick word. We haven't even mentioned our sponsor, SIMSTAFF, and apologies to SIMSTAFF. I put SimSport in the title last week, so yeah, apologies to the guys and gals at SIMSTAFF. There has been a QR barcode on the screen there if you'd like to get access to their latest newsletters for all things concerning employment opportunities and the like, Simon, in the sim racing sector.
Yeah, exactly. SIMSTAFF have a new careers newsletter, and it's worldwide, so it doesn't matter where you are in the world. There's potential job opportunities for you. and they post out a weekly newsletter, so you can stay up to date with esports, careers, and opportunities. So definitely get involved with that one.
Indeed, and a big thank you to them for sponsoring the series, all 6 races. There is the link in the chat if you do want to jump on that. And again, there's a QR barcode on the race screen that you can give a scan, and it will take you directly there. And we are back live in France. Leon Seeley in the chat, actually been to this track, competing, and no less. Simon, nervous time for you as a team manager as well, and he didn't have the best of luck, really, did he? It was very much a case of what could have been for Leon.
I'm sure he was a lot more nervous than me actually being there competing.
Leon, did you know, true fact, much like the Stig, Leon Seeley does not actually have any nerves whatsoever. He constantly, he is as calm as a coma. I've genuinely watched these stream and thought, if I jab you with a cattle prod, you won't flinch a muscle. You really would. But no, he did unbelievably well. And a couple of incidents, so unlucky with the turn 1 incidents at this very track. But yeah, definitely what could have been for Leon.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. He did the hard work to get to the FIA Motorsport Games final, and then you get wiped out in the first race. Managed to come back to qualify for the semi-finals, get wiped out in the semi-finals, and then it's just a little bit too much to make it to the grand final live at the event. So just one of those things.
But a phenomenal performance, and massive congrats for getting there. So it's very nostalgic for Leon seeing the track.
I'm sure he'll be there next year.
Oh yeah, definitely. Grand champion, and apparently he's taking his favourite commentator with him. Fingers crossed.
Not me then.
Well, I did, genuinely just mean myself. That's the type of ego that I have, We're on the back. We are on the back straight at Paul Ricard. 747 miles long this particular part of the track is. I heard that are going to fit a drive-through. You place your order at the start and you get it handed to you in a bag as you get to the right-hander at the end. Unbelievable pace. And as you say, Simon, it's going to be vitally important for the drivers on this track to stay in touch with the car in front, or even the pack in front. If you get left behind, much like an oval race almost, if you get left behind at this part of the track, it really does put you behind the 8 ball, so to speak, for the remainder of this lap and the start of the following one.
Yeah, that's it. The first lap really dictates how your race can go here. I mean, I really do expect the top 4 to kind of pull away from the rest. The Mercedes doesn't have that top end grunt to accelerate away from the pack like the BMWs and Ferraris do. It's just got that 6th gear in the Mercedes is just slightly too long. Every car reaches the top speed here at Paul Ricard because the straight's so long. But Mercedes just seems to take an age to get to that top end compared to others. So we might see after the very first lap a breakaway between the top 4 and the rest of the pack.
That is a good question, Mr. Cairns. Let me say that again while the microphone's on. He's in the chat, but he's not on track.
He might be qualifying for a SRO Sprint Series.
Oh yeah, there is that. The life of a sim racer. Busy. It's going to be a busy hour here. Mandatory pit stops. Marco Mollinger making his series debut out with a comfortable gap in qualifying, leading a trio of BMWs to start in the races. Ethan Faulkner in the Ferrari, breaking the German manufacturer's dominance with the AMGs in 5th. And there's the green lights a mere away, and it's a great start by, as Simon said, the front 4 absolutely flying. In 5th place, though, Ben Nergard definitely getting involved. The BMW moving over to go defensive as distinct DGs. Ethan Faulkner in the Ferrari looking to make a position and round outside. Ben Nergard gets himself past Faulkner and up into 4th position then. Great move then, and Aston Martin looking to follow through as well as Jack Thorburn going on the outside of Reed as well, falls back in, and it's Joe Boyle in the background that actually goes side by side with the Honda and gets that position taken. Ethan Faulkner fighting back on the inside of the apex as Jonathan Reed runs a bit wide, and Joe Boyle now goes side by side with him and takes that position then. So Boyle, the wily campaigner, making up positions in the race as you would expect. It was Jack Thorburn dropping down the order, although the Honda's got a good run. He's on the outside line. They're coming on to the long back straight. It's going to be the Honda that's got potentially the option of the slipstream, but he does not. The exit he gets there is absolutely phenomenal. Oh, and he's moved across early. He's moved across early and he's kept it out with the wall. Oh, and he's tried to avoid the contact coming back on, and he has eventually hit the wall there. He did try to get in front of Boyle there just a little too early. A bit of contact sent the car all off. Boyle managed to hold it as well. Jonathan Reed gets himself back ahead. So too Marcus Dewsbury then snuck himself up into 7th. So it's Mollinger, Page and Watts leading the way. Page up into 2nd position. So there's been an overtake there. Let's jump on the replay. Oh, it was already done by then. Back in the silvers, Tony Frisina. There is, that's Jack Thorburn having that incident again. He's dropped right down the order and now is in fact just ahead of Albi Alvarez. Armand Petrovic has made a great start as well in the silvers. As we can see from this replay then, a 4-way battle. That is Roy Schutz in the McLaren just behind. And the McLaren's... Yeah, it really did get a bit of lift off over this area. He's gone wide and he's going to get himself a bit of a penalty from that. As Simon mentioned, we should probably expect a few drivers to pick up a drive-through penalties. Oh, and we've got someone in the pits, and it's Ransbar into the pits. First lap into the pits, and he's followed by teammate James Rollins. So 2 cars coming in at the end of lap number 1 to get their pit stops done. Jack Thorburn, he has recovered from that. He now finds himself, as I say, almost at the back of the pack. In fact, Michael Firth has dropped right down to the back of the pack, so hopefully he's not carrying any damage.
There was a massive incident on lap 1 that I'm just going to be reviewing now. I think James Rollins and Michael Firth were involved in it together, so we're going to see what happened. Okay,
so Simon's going to have a look at that. 2 drivers confirmed. Mandatory pit stops done and dusted. Both SOP drivers. Roy Schutz in the McLaren has recovered from the instability which was presented to him, and he lifted off a bit early at the end of the long straight. Rollins has been given a stop-go 30-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That is not the start of the race that he wanted. We're on board with Abram Hosen, and we can see he is going into a side-by-side situation. Roy Schutz in the background. It's Williamson that's looking to get some moves done here. The DWSR car falls back into line. It does the Porsche. Jack Thorburn trying to get past Tony Frisina as well. Tony bringing a little train of cars with him. He's got Alvarez and Thorburn, the 2 pro drivers behind him. Thorburn back ahead of Alvarez. We've got Faulkner looking very close through sector number 3 to Ben Nergard, who's had an absolute worldie of a start. Although that is not the car I expected him to be side by side with. That's Williamson. What has happened to Nergard? So here is Nergard in 4th position. He's now down in 13th, 14th position, coming along the straight. He's got the Ferrari around the outside. He's got the Aston. Oh, look at the move by Faulkner around the outside. Does he keep... Oh, and he overcorrects to make sure he keeps it in track, and he completely wipes out Nergard. That will be a fairly massive penalty, as we can see that almost coming together in the background. So that is what was happening on the outside line, as we saw these 3 cars. There is the McLaren on white, just coming back on track, and that is where we found Nergard down in 15th position. After a phenomenal start, that really is an unfortunate coming together with a distinct GG drive, and as Ethan Faulkner does find himself now in 3rd. Jonathan Reed in 4th. Dewsma in 5th. Joe Boyle up to 6th position. Liam Page pestering him in 7th, though it is Chris Fielder leading the way for the silvers in 8th overall. Jack Thorburn in 9th, and rounding out the top 10 on track, it is Tony Frisina in 10th place. No action from the stewards as yet, still being investigated, but along the back straight is Frisina, Petrovic and Danzer. Frisina finds himself right in the middle Alvarez just ahead, and David Danzer, potential dark horse in the BMW, currently running in 4th position, can see 2 podium spots in class just ahead of him. So too can Jonathan Reed, in fact, as Ethan Faulkner, that he's closed in on Dan Watts. 4.6 seconds adrift already of Marco Mollinger, so certainly job done as far as Marco's concerned in the opening stages. Watts in that second place. Faulkner 1.3 down the road, but he's going to have to go full defensive mode. As we can see, Jonathan Reed getting very close indeed. Liam Page and Joe Boyle. Jonathan Boyle, I've renamed you, Joe. You're welcome, Linksay. Rebranded live on stream. But it is a switch in positions for Page and Boyle. Page getting himself up to 6th, Boyle now in 7th. Chris Fielder just behind him. Alvarez still following closely behind Jack Thorburn. These two can certainly work well together to make their way through the field, given the pace that they've got and the amount of time that they've spent on track together. Ben Nergaard recovered from, safe to say, an ice hockey blocking tackle close to. Came right across, there was no place for him to go. Took the full brunt of the Ferrari being kicked off the curbs, and he now finds himself down in 14th position. Nelson Abrinhosa just ahead of him. That does put him at the moment 10th in class. Michael Firth bringing up the rear for the pros. He was one of the drivers that was involved in that early incident that Simon is looking at. Jonathan Reed and Ethan Faulkner, they were within a 10th here coming off that back straight. Reed looking to get on that podium, and I'm sure Faulkner will be looking to try and improve on his position as well. He can most definitely see Dan Watts in the BMW ahead of him. 2 BMWs, a Ferrari and 2 Aston Martins leading the way in the top 5 at the moment. Fielder closing in. Oh, we've had a disconnect. And we've also got Nelson Abrinhosa very close to Ben Nergaard, as Nergaard trying to get past the Mercedes of Petrovics. In the last race, we saw 2 Mercedes right on top of one another for the whole race. I'm sure that Nergaard will not be hoping for a repeat of that at this stage. He is in 10th in class, 9th in class, sorry, because we'll have lost the driver. There's 3 ahead of him. Stop go cleared then for Rollins, so he'll be exiting the pits just ahead of this group. Into turn number 1, there's Nergaard just ahead. Had a look, thought about it. No space, so he's pulled back in. Drive through from race control for car 34. So it is Michael Firth who has been given the drive through for the incident on lap number 1. He's in 17th position at the moment. The pit stop here, the drive-through, not a kind one, that is for sure. Petrovic, sorry, just in the foreground there, I was reading the delta on the timing. Just in front, if you were watching on screen there, Nergaard did get himself in front of Petrovic, but he has, of course, given Petrovic that all-important slipstream as they come along the back straight. 7 seconds separates Mollinger and Watts, with Faulkner now 1.5 seconds down the road, but he's given himself 9/10 of a second gap over Faulkner. You can see just how effective the slipstream is along this back straight. The 2 Mercedes are now side by side. It is still Nergaard who's got his nose in front. Petrovic doesn't force the issue, trying to go side by side, and it is Watts that holds on. Nergaard that holds on to that 11th overall. 9th he is in class, as I say. We've had one of the pros disconnect from the server. So Nergaard, still a long way to go. 50 minutes left on track. His teammate Dan Watts comfortably in second place at the moment. Ethan Faulkner not so comfortable at the moment. As we can see, Jonathan Reed has closed right back up onto his rear spoiler again. So more action between the podium positions. Petrovic still very close to Nergaard, and David Danzer as well, having taken the early pit stop, is battling with Mustafa Ransbar. Also took an early pit stop with Ransbar, of course, on lap number 1. Danzer 2 laps later. So he's come back out the pits right behind Ransbar. So this is definitely a battle for good points, and neither driver will be looking to get themselves held up at this early stage. I'm sure Simon would agree if he is back from the stewarding box. Simon?
I am, mate. I'm just listening to your lovely voice.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, Danzer and Ransbar, as far as going for an early pit stop and an undercut, a mega undercut goes, this is the worst possible scenario when you come out right on top of another driver pulling the same strategy. So for these two now, definitely not where they want to be, and yeah, one of them will be looking to try and break away and get a bit of space, a bit of breathing space, you would think.
Yeah, I mean, they're not where they want to be, but at the same time, they're both battling each other for the overall championship as well. So they are the leading pair in the Silvers who've done their mandatory stop. It'll be interesting to see how high up they appear when everybody served their pit stop in the silver class. Like I said, there's really not many points separating either of these two in the championship as well. So
12 points separating them, yeah.
Every point counts at this stage, and so Ransbar is going to do everything to hold on to that position, but Danzer's just going to have that slipstream, and I think it's going to be inevitable that he'll be able to make that position on Ransbar.
He does, but here's the thing as well, though. If Ransbar times it right, he's going to be straight back in the slipstream, so they're effectively just going to trade positions.
Yeah, exactly.
Quick game of chess, lap after lap. As at this stage, really...
I mean, if they play it right, it can work into their favour as well, you know. They can draft each other and slipstream each other, and they're both lapping faster together.
Yeah, I mean, even by the length of the straight, you can slingshot past one another if you get a good exit at the start of the long straight. You know what I mean? One car goes in front and then just follows for a lap, and then, oh, there we go, the Ferrari moving over, instantly taking that line. Mollinger smurfing. Not sure what smurfing means. He is...
Smurfing's a new term I've recently learned. It's basically where someone's got like a demi account.
Right.
Like a Smurf is a small person, isn't it? Yes.
Yes, the Smurfs. Yeah, I grew up on that cartoon. I know, Papa Smurf.
Oh, who's facing the wrong way? That's Faulkner gone round. What's happened there?
Let's find out. Coming off the back straight, he was being followed by Jonathan Reed. You can see, again, we were just talking about the slipstream, how effective it is. And he is closing in on the Ferrari, both cars close to topping out. The Aston had an... the Ferrari lost it. So the Aston Martin went left, right, left, and the Ferrari lift off oversteer or the back end. Absolutely went. That's 3 SOP cars and an RTO machine that's made their way through as well. Roy Schutz has picked up a drive-through penalty as well. Is that track limits or is that from the steward, Simon?
That's not from the steward, so that must be track limits already in the first.
Wow. That's early. Ethan Faulkner now down to 8th position then. And he's got Albi Alvarez and Ben Nergaard not too far behind. Marcus Jusman finds himself up in the 5th position with teammates Page and Reed just ahead of him, the SOP trio. Looking very quick indeed. Marco Mollinger. Frightening pace. 15 minutes in, he's already got an 11.2 second gap. Right, so smurfing, that would be like if this was actually baggy driving. And he just he uses a different account and calls himself another name. Is that the type of thing we're talking?
Yeah,
there we go. And I'm using baggy as an example because remember when he used to gap at a second a lap the rest of the field? Mollinger, certainly.
Back on console days, wasn't it, that was?
Oh, yeah.
No one could touch him.
No, he was very quick. He did well as soon as he moved to PC as well, didn't he? Finished 10, inside the top 10 in his first SRO?
I believe...
At Mazzano?
Yeah, I believe Baggy had one go at doing SRO Sprint Series, and he was inside the top 10, the pro class. Yeah. And then we haven't seen him for a year and a half. He just disappeared.
Yeah. Indeed he did. IB Danny, the term Smurf is used in gaming to describe a player in an online game that creates a new account to play against lower ranked players. Got ya. What is it? We've got a name for that, but it's not Smurfing. But no, alright, I totally understand what that is now, yes. I totally get that. So there we go. But yeah, no Smurfing here from Marco. 12 seconds is now the gap over Dan Watts, with Reid comfortably in that third place. Page and Jusma 4th and 5th. Boyle up to 6th position. He's got Chris Fielder leading the way comfortably then for the Silvers. He's got 3 pros. Faulkner, Thauber not in the race anymore. Alvarez and Nergard behind him. Then Tony Frasina second in the Silvers. Third in the Silvers, Nelson Abrunhosa. Certainly keeping Tony honest at the moment. And yeah, the Silvers, again, one of the most fascinating fields that we've got. Frasina leading the way by 2 points. Fielder and Rawlings both on exactly the same points. Fielder leading the way, Frasina in second, and Rawlings down at the back of the pack after that stop go 32nd. This really could be the end of James. I mean, not to be too dramatic, but given the size of the field, unless James Rawlings can make back 4, maybe 5 places, it really could be a case of championship over for him, given that Fielder and Frasina are currently sitting first and second, Simon.
Well, don't forget about the drop round as well. If this is James Rawlings' worst round, you know, he's still got a win under his belt, and he's got every round inside the top 5 apart from this race, so he's definitely not out of it. Frasina, like you said, who's currently leading the championship, he's also had 1 win and 2 races inside the top 5, so it's still very nip and tuck between all these drivers. Ranjbai's been on the podium twice, and he's had 2 races just outside the top 5, and Fielder's had 2 podiums and 2 races outside the top 10. So it's still very nip and tuck between all of these drivers. None of them have had a clean championship with just 2 rounds to go. It's going to be really interesting to see. I mean, there's only 10 in each class here at Paul Ricard, the lowest turnout of the season. But that, again, that just limits how bad your drop round is going to be as well. So it could work in their favour.
Well, actually, yeah, as you say that, it certainly will, because Chris Fielder's drop round at the minute is a 12th. He's also got an 11th.
But it looks like he might pick up his 2nd victory of the season here.
Yeah, and the worst Rawlings can do at the minute is 9th. So that would be his drop round. That would bring us 5th. So actually, yeah, you're right. Rawlings is absolutely still in the hunt, and yeah, I was way off the mark on that one. Yeah, the drop round really does make it a very different proposition. With that 12th, and Frasina himself has got a 9th under his belt as well. So yeah, definitely all to play for then. Definitely still for all 3 drivers. A lot of definites in that sentence. Christoph Reuschutz.
Definitely.
Maybe. Great album. Reuschutz into the pits to take his mandatory. He did get a drive-through as well for track limit violations. Massively detrimental, especially this early in the race. Still 40 minutes to go. So less than a third of the race in, and he's already been into the pits twice. Marco Mollinger into turn 1 to start lap number 11. Unsurprisingly, purple number 1 next to his name. His fastest lap so far, 1 minute 53.267. So only about 4 or 5, maybe 8 seconds quicker than I can go in qualifying. So he's lapping. Not too bad at all. Dan Watts 14 seconds down the road. Jonathan Reid very comfortably in 3rd, and his SOP teammates Page and Jusma in the BMWs and Astons respectively. Currently looking very good in 4th and 5th. Joe Boyle once again making up places in the race. Finds himself 6th, and he is definitely still in touch with the SOP drivers ahead of him, much like Chris Fielder, but is very much in touch with him sitting just behind there. 7th overall from the silver driver. Still got Alvarez and Ricard not too far behind. And
and so much can still change, like we saw in the pit stops. We saw how much it was turned on its head from the silvers that have already pitted in the first 20 minutes. You know, that could still happen in the pro class. One of these drives inside the top 5 can pick up a speeding in the pit lane infringement. One of these drivers can pick up a track limit drive-through. You know, it's still way too early to decide who's going to finish second in this race. Because Mollinger's away and gone, isn't he? 15 seconds ahead. He is literally pulling out a second a lap.
Yes, he is at the moment, yeah. He is, just over a second a lap. With 11 laps in the books and a 14-second gap. It is looking very comfortable. Roy Schutt's still in the pits then. And in fact, the next car on Mollinger's radar will be Williamson, currently running in 15th in the Porsche. We saw him involved in some action earlier. He's another driver that's taken his pit stop nice and early. Danzer and Ranjbar. Ranjbar ahead of Danzer at the moment in the championship, so he knows that even one position ahead keeps that gap going into the final race. Because there is only one race to go after this one. It is at the greatest track in Belgium. That's why it's ending the series. The series finale will, of course, be Spa. So we will be enjoying the track there. The drivers will be hoping to get as many points as they can, because Spa can certainly be a cruel mistress. Given some of the twists and curves. So certainly bringing home the maximum points haul this week will be the top priority for the drivers out on track. Mollinger looking to bring home a very handy points haul indeed, and he is closing in on Williamson at a fairly impressive rate. Fielder still keeping in touch with Boyle. Danzer still looking to get his way past Ranjbar. Another Aston versus BMW battle that we've got going on track. And Abrunhosa as well, Aston versus Porsche. Where is Abrunhosa? There he is there. This one's still going on. The battle for the final, but at the moment, the battle for the final podium positions in the silver class. Of course, we'll see where they drop back in after they've taken their pit stops. Having a look up the inside, we've jumped on this just as Abrunhosa's got a good run there. Doesn't quite get the side-by-side. I was going to say, Simon.
I don't know what it is about Nelson Abrunhosa. He just reminds me of like a wildly old fox. You know, he's just every now and then he just does something to sort of the whippersnappers into shape type of thing. You know, where he just pulls out an amazing result. You see him racing, and like he's got this wisdom about him, and then every now and again he pulls out a massive result out of the bag, and all these young sim racers, he takes it to them.
He does indeed. Yeah, he does indeed. A wily campaigner indeed. I do love his livery as well, the way he's done it.
You can tell he's an old timer just from that livery.
Indeed you can. It's not an old timer, vintage. Thanks very much.
Vintage,
King Phoenix in the chat. Hello, SOP. Well, hello, King Phoenix. Come on, Ranjbar. You can do it. He is certainly doing it at the moment, and what he is doing is putting in a fine defensive performance against David Danzer. The BMW has proved time and time again this series to be the dominant car, but at the moment it's Ranjbar who is holding firmly in his position. Has this slowed them up though? Lap time wise, they are a bit slower than Fielder at the moment, but they are still quicker than Fresena and Abrunhosa. So despite the battle, they are getting the lap times that they need to maintain potential podium challenges come the end of the race. And that's, and again, Nelson having a good look. He really is testing Fresena's defensive nous here, for want of a better word. Is he going to pull a defensive move now that he can capitalise on? We're certainly going to find out over the next 34 minutes, because you get the feeling these two are going to be inseparable. And at this stage, Simon, for me, obviously, you're a team manager, you can maybe tell me that. We've seen some of the drivers come in, take their pits in the opening laps. Are we likely to see anybody come in at the halfway mark, or is it now going to be a case of everyone running to within the last, say, 5-10 minutes or so?
They possibly could. I mean, depending on their fuel loads, well, I guess it really doesn't matter on their fuel loads, because all they need to take is 1 litre and they've completed their mandatory stop. So even if they were running full fuel load, it wouldn't really matter just with the 1 litre when they did come into the pits. I can't imagine anybody's done a split strategy on their fuel, because that is the slowest strategy. So unless they want to try and get themselves clear air like we're seeing here now with Abrinhosa, he may think better of staying behind this Porsche. Or likewise for Fresina just in front, he may think that he wants to get away from the Aston and he's going to pit now at the halfway point just to be clear of Nelson and the attack that he's about to mount.
Yeah, it does. Sorry, you go.
I'm just saying, yeah, it doesn't really matter at what stage I think they decide to pit at this point. It'd be different if there was tyres involved. You know, I'd be saying most drivers would be coming at the halfway point, because then that would become the fastest strategy, doing a 50-50 split on new tyres. But
yeah,
because tyres aren't a question that needs to be answered 1 litre at any point in the race, it doesn't really make a difference. I can see why all the drivers pit at the beginning of the race, because it gets them inside clean air, and we see it time and time again how those drivers that are in clean air make up loads of positions come the end of the race, because they're not battling with anybody else. Looking up and down the field, you know, most of the drivers have a healthy gap between themselves and the next driver behind them, so it's not like anybody's doing any real damage to each other battling on track either.
Yeah, nobody getting overly slowed down at the moment. Just as we were saying that, we did see Nelson Abrinhosa get the overtake done. That does put him second in class at the moment with those pit stops to take. So yeah, I did wonder, as Simon was just alluding to there, potentially one of them could have been coming into the pits, look to get themselves the clear air and the clear track. But Nelson stuck with it, and he's got that overtake done before he's come into the pits. Danzer and Ranjbar still majestically doing battle. Still clocking good quick lap times as well, though, further class. So definitely it's still in the hunt. So really it's about the times that Abrinhosa can now put in. Can he fend off the inevitable return advances from Tony Fresina along the straight? He's just trying to pop out the slipstream there. Nelson sticks to the driving line and maintains the position this time around. Oh, the Porsche just about keeping it in the track limits there. And it is funny, Simon, when you come off that fast straight, you talk about track limits. The track limits are 4 little square bollards on the track that you've got to keep inside. You can go completely off that fast, completely off the curb on the exit on the left. It does kind of make a bit of a mockery at track limits when you get a slap on the wrist going off there, given the fact that you can actually go so far off the track and just curve back in beside these 4 little white markers that we see at so many of the corners here at Paul Ricard.
Yeah, it's just one of those things on ACC where they just like to make stuff up. You know, you can't cut the track at turn 1 or at any other point, but coming around the fast right-hander, you can be completely off the track a whole car's width. But as long as you rejoin by those 4 markers, everything's jolly. But back to this battle, I would now completely change strategy. Now Fresina is behind Abrinhosa. I would not be pitting at all, because you've got that draft of Abrinhosa pulling that Porsche along. Porsche isn't notorious for having amazing straight line speed, and being in the slipstream of an Aston Martin that has amazing top speed, it's only going to help Racina move further up the field by staying in that tow.
Yeah, and he's certainly looking to do so once again. But visibly more distance between himself and Abrunhosa on this lap. And it is a long lap on this one, but it is Racina who is, and we'll see just how much to right out on that Kerbin. There's always this corner here that really catches me out. This is just such an awkward double apex corner. I really struggle. That's why I commentate, and these drivers race, and Abrunhosa trying to race away and get a bit of a gap. He's certainly doing what he needs to do on the straights. He's got enough of a gap on the straights so the slipstream doesn't take as much of an advantage. And we've seen the top 5 drivers, Simon, come into the pits, and it is Marcus Juzma, so close as the rest of the field. He's already down to 9th position, so I was wondering if anyone coming on the halfway mark, and Juzma has done exactly that. So that'll be his mandatory. There is Racina and Abrunhosa crossing the start-finish line. So that's Boyle and Alvarez all promoted. So too Chris Fielder, Ethan Faulkner no longer in the race, still on the Bordeaux. There is Nergard for RTO. He's back up to 7th in class. Some great driving by Chris Fielder. I think he's we've got to be looking at putting Chris up into the pros next season. I would say some of the performances he's putting in, and he's definitely been mixing it up there, Simon. So yeah, it'll be good to see the likes of himself. Certainly Abrunhosa will not be quick for Cena as well. It'll be good to see a few of these drivers mixing it with the pros, considering they're doing not too bad a job of it this season already.
Yeah. I mean, it's all subjective to who joins the next championship, of course. But a requirement that we always have with SOP leagues is that if you end up being the silver class champion in the previous series, you must join the new series in the pro class. And I think that's what all drivers aim for anyway, right? You always want to improve and race against the best. So when you win one championship, you try and move up and do the same in the next championship, be it a higher class against a higher caliber of driver. But you're there to test yourself, aren't you? There's no point just constantly winning back-to-back amateur or silver championships, because you're the fastest in that category, so you need to challenge yourself and move up. So yeah, that's why we say all champions of AM or silver class leagues need to move up to the pro for the next season, and it does seem to work rather well. And it then gives those drivers who may not have quite had the luck or may not have had the speed compared to the champion last season, it gives them a new opportunity to try and win the championship the following season.
Yeah, it does, exactly the way it should be. Pretty much the way it is in real life motorsport as well. You start winning championships in your class, you're going to get promoted up through the divisions. Nergard is looking to promote himself back through the field. There he is there. He is closing in, and look at the slipstream. And in fact, I think that's more than just slipstream there, Simon. I think his fielder just let him through there, do you think? I mean, that's a lot more than just slipstream, surely.
Well, again, it was straightforward. Maybe it's because they're not in the same class that he's just let him through. Or maybe it was just because you'd rather follow in the slipstream of a pro class driver.
Yeah, but Nergard back to 7th overall, still 7th in class. He had an absolute lightning start as well, got himself right into podium contention in the opening few laps, but an unfortunate coming together. And he found himself almost at the back of the field, back up into 7th though. Racina still close to Abrunhosa then. So he is, as Simon mentioned, enjoying that slipstream at the moment. Kobe G, hello, good evening, welcome in. How are you here? Yeah, who are you supporting? Everyone usually jumps in. Have you usually got a team? Are you in supporting a team? Or are you just a sim racing fan? But cheers for jumping in. Cheers for saying hello. Hope you're having a good evening. We certainly are. The championship points are all over the place at the moment. Some of the main protagonists have taken early pit stops. Some of the others have stayed out on track, namely Messrs Fielder, Frasina and Ranjbar. Rollins doing what he can down in 16th. He's still going to bring home some good points due to the diminished field, so that will lessen the blow of that extra trip into pits for that drive-through. Around the last corner, great exit by Ranjbar then. His left Danzer absolutely standing. Got over 6/10 of an increase in the gap there. So Ranjbar not messing about, 24 minutes to go. Trying to extend that gap. Frasina still very close. Is he going to be close enough to get something done in the slipstream along the back straight? Pit stops will certainly be looming large in the mind of the drivers with 23 minutes left to go. Frasina certainly, the Porsche, absolutely tearing itself to bits along that start-finish straight.
It really doesn't look like he's trying to make a move either. It really looks like he's happy just to sit behind Nelson and have that extra bit of slipstream on the straights, which is pulling him along. Because he definitely isn't faster around the rest of the lap, but he's able to stay in touch with him down that back straight. So I think Frasina's pretty happy where he is right now, even though they are 17 seconds away from Fielder.
Okay, as part of SOP, I should support... Oh, okay, Kobe, what is your IRL name or PlayStation name? Are you IRL driver? This is a problem, everyone's got different names on Discord, Twitch.
Oh, here's the move.
Oh, yeah.
Frasina up the inside.
Whoa. That was a bit of a move over. Making contact on the straight, definitely frowned upon. He did leave enough room. Nelson looking to fight back on the inside of the apex potentially. Frasina makes it through on the porch. Okay. Hello, Tim. How are we doing? Welcome in. Thank you for joining in. That's what, sorry? Tim Halls.
That makes total sense. Tim Halls, aka Kobe G.
Yes, indeed.
Nothing related whatsoever.
Exactly. Although, yeah, to be fair, I'm John Wright and I'm 00 Raven, so...
That is true.
Nah, yeah, that one. But I did pick that name for my Xbox years ago. We don't need to put a number on it, really. Marco Mollinger, let's put a number on this. Lots. He is a country mile ahead of the rest of the field. His laps still down in the 53s, the only driver to have done a race lap with the 153s. Cam Martin, you first time in the chat as well. Thank you for the follow earlier. Oh, we did have another follow there as well, actually. Let me just catch up with that. Zembek 83, thank you for the follow. Oh, Remedy typed in as well. Timo Leitonen give us a follow too. Cam was in there, but yeah. What was that name? Zembek, thank you as well for the follow. Superbike R1. Cool design. Timmy says Superbike R1. Yeah, some of the liveries are pretty cool as well. We do like the effort. Team RTO. Well, they've got some cracking liveries as well. Got a lot of drivers in the top 10 in the championship. Got 2 in the top 5 on track at the moment. In the form of Boyle and Watts, 2 SOP drivers in the form of Page and Reed. So the usual protagonists you would expect up at the front of the field. Chris Fielder is still leading the way for the Silvers, and Tony Frasina still hanging in there in that slipstream, being pulled along. As Simon was saying, the Porsche infamous for not having much top end speed. So Frasina making the most of having the car punching through the air and helping him get up to his top speed. Oh, and Mollinger's come in from the lead of the race. 27 seconds is the gap. What's just coming through sector 3 now. Leading the way. He's got 2 corners to go. Of course, in the pits, it's only a quick stop and drop. 1 litre of fuel will be what most of the drivers are taking on. That is the only requirement in the race, is for the drivers to take on fuel. It only needs to be 1 litre. That does seem like a slightly longer stop there. Mollinger perhaps just making it interesting for himself. Watts has gone through into turn number 1. Reed just coming down the start-finish straight. Mollinger just exiting the pits as Page comes through as well. So he's going to slot back in 4th. Although, did Boyle get ahead? No, he didn't. So he's going to be in 4th place. With that pit stop taken, Tony Frasina, he was within a 1/4 of a second there off that back straight. Couldn't get the overtake redone, and he does pull into the pits. So that is Frasina coming into the pits. So he is done with that slipstream. Abrinhosa will charge onwards. So it's going to be interesting to see where Frasina comes out, of course. Oh, in fact, Juzma, sorry, is it Juzma I'm looking for? No, it's Ransbar.
Yeah, Ransbar.
That is, I don't know, tell you what, Ransbar and Danzer, despite their lap times being slightly slower, they have cruised past Frasina, who is still stationary. So that is a big gap, these two. So, yeah, that's a bit of a surprise to me, Simon, given the lap times. Like I say, but Ransbar and that, they were definitely on par. Frasina slightly quicker, but these two getting the job done. And Frasina find themselves in the pit, and the mega undercut, as you mentioned, working absolutely beautifully for these two despite their battle.
Yeah, I think Ransbar and Dancer primed to take the final 2 podium spots with that right there, because Abrinhosa was only just ahead of Frasina before he came into the pit stop, so you'd have to imagine they're going to be jumping Nelson as well. Of course, Fielder had almost 19 seconds or 18 seconds to the good over Nelson and Frasina, so it's still to be seen if Ransbar and Dancer have done enough to jump up to the very front of the silver pack. But I think it's going to be really close between Fielder, Ransbar and Dancer when Fielder does decide to pit. And then, yeah, it's Frasina, whether he's going to be able to get the jump on Abrinhosa. Now he's out there by himself. No slipstream helping him anymore.
Yeah, it will be interesting. He is a fair bit down on Dancer at the moment, so really is going to have to put in some laps. And Abrinhosa answers straight away. So he has come into the pits on the very next lap. So the questions will be answered quickly. There is Juzma. Absolutely cruises through for the pros. Ransbar round the last corner with David Danzer in tow. Abrinhosa just stationary, and we will see the battling duo of Ransbar and Danzer cross the line and get themselves ahead comfortably, as Abrinhosa still stationary, just moving now. And Frasina just out the last corner, so he will stay ahead of Frasina. And in fact, that's a decent gap he's got over Frasina, considering how close he was coming into the pit, Simon. He has now got himself a fairly comfortable gap over Frasina. Lost out on the podium, but certainly pitted at the right time as far as the battle with him and the Porsche has gone.
Yeah, definitely. That's been a mighty pit stop from Nelson there. It might have just been the difference in how much fuel they needed to add, because I wouldn't have said any driver's been taking tyres in this race. That stop was too fast for tyres. But like you said, they just seem to be stationary for a bit longer than usual. So maybe that's another reason why Frasina was so fast early on in the Porsche, because he had less fuel on board at the beginning of the race. So now we're going to be seeing the true pace of these cars in the final 15 minutes. Like we saw, the top 3 in qualifying in the silvers were all Aston anyway, so we know how fast they are on low fuel load. Surely we're going to see that in the final 15 minutes whilst they're on that low fuel now.
Yeah, the lap times you would expect to start tumbling. There's Mollinger. Race leader, he's taken his pits, he's already retaken third place on track. That's Liam Page that he's just gone past. Page still to take his pit stop, much like Reid and Dan Watts, who have still stayed out. So we're about half and half on the pitted cars at the moment. 14 minutes left of the race. Danzer and Ransbar battling for the final 2 podium positions in class. Chris Fielder, 155.4. And I tell you as well, there is a fairly decent gap, but Ransbar and Danzer are actually lapping with a commensurate pace to class leader Chris Fielder. Is this potentially a race-winning battle, Simon, or do we think Fielder is... Okay, yeah, 30 is about 50 seconds up the road, so it's going to be close, but Fielder should hang on to this one, you would think. I know I've suddenly flopped and chopped and changed there, but I did a quick bit of math. But yeah, Fielder probably, should just about have it done, but it's going to be pretty close.
Yeah, 45 seconds is the gap between Ransbar and Fielder. We know they're stationary for around, if they're only taking 2 or 3 litres, it's only a 3 or 4 second stop actually on the jacks. Getting through the pits is going to be around 30 to 40 seconds, so it is going to be very, very tight, a matter of maybe 1, 2, maximum 3 seconds between Fielder and Ransbar and Danster. And then Fielder's, of course, he's got his first out lap to try and get everything up to the temperature, so that's probably going to reel Ransbar and Dancer in a little bit more. We could see a 3-way fight for the silver class win here.
Yeah, we certainly could. I don't think we're going to see much of a fight for the race win in the pros. Mollinger already back up to third. He is Jonathan Reid just running a bit wide there on the exit. That does let Mollinger back through, so that's him back up to second on track with the rest of the drivers in class still to take their pit stops. It is Watts for RTO leading the way at the moment. Another driver still to take his pits. Is this the lap? No, it is not Jonathan Reid, who is, of course, now behind Mollinger. He's just coming in to the final bend as well. He's got that Porsche Williamson just behind him. There is a BMW. That is at Liam Page. It is. Liam Page comes in. Joe Boyle stays out. Page in. Alvarez and Nergard next to come round the last corner. Alvarez comes in to the pits as well. Chris Fielder, he's decided to stay out. So Alvarez and Page, another SOP pair into the pits. And Jusma, a couple of corners back, he's certainly going to get right in touch with Alvarez. Liam Page already on his way out. As another SOP car unlaps itself. There is Page, I believe. Yeah, Fielder's already well through. Alvarez in the pits. Jusma does get back ahead of Alvarez, but he is still behind Liam Page. David Danzer, look how close he's getting once again. Out with the final corner. Really, really is putting in a phenomenal drive at the moment behind Ransbar, who himself put in a phenomenal drive, defending for several laps so far, and it doesn't look like that's going to abate anytime soon. If this turns into a battle for the race win, I'm sure it'll get spicy in the closing couple of laps. That will be determined, of course, by Chris Fielder's pit strategy. 25 laps in the books. He's had himself some nice clear air from the start of the race. And yeah, his strategy really is all about what he feels comfortable doing at this point. Championship leader as well. So as far as penultimate rounds of the championship go, Simon. Sorry, no, he's only 2 points behind, but he is ahead of Fresina, so he's not the championship leader, but it certainly looks like he will be after this, given how far down Fresina is at the moment. But yeah, as far as penultimate round to championship goes, Simon, the momentum really does swing massively into Chris's favour, bringing home this win and sitting on the top of the championship with Spa to go.
Yeah, that's exactly it. If he crosses the line to take the victory here, he'll be the only driver in the silver class that would have picked up 2 wins so far in the championship. He's already had a second place at round 1. This could be his second win. The only downside to his championship so far, like we said, he's had 2 results outside of the top 10. But I think that's going to be offset by the fact that he's also got 2 wins under his belt, which yield the most points, you know. Like I said, Fresina is leading the championship, but he's outside the top 5 right now. Rawlins hasn't had the best round either, and he's going to drop down in the order. Fresina was 2 points ahead. Rawlins was level on points with Fielder, so those 3 are going to be completely flipped on its head. The only question again is David Dance's points once the drop round has been implemented on the score. And then Ranjbar, if he finishes second here, is going to be the 3rd time he's on the podium, making him the only driver to appear on the podium 3 times in this championship so far as well. So it really is going to be everything to play for at Spa between maybe even 5 of these drivers.
It is, and yeah, 5 is definitely a number worth mentioning. That is the position that Linksy is now up to in class. He got the overtake done in the pits. He was behind Jonathan Reed on the way in and ahead on the way out. Page did make his way through, but Boyle is up to 5th in class with Chris Fielder ahead of him. Dan Watts, another RTO driver, comes into the pits. Mollinger already through and into turn 1 as you'd expect. Another RTO driver, Ben Nergard, comes into the pits as well as Watts exits. I'm sure he feels painfully slowly. Big gap back to Page though, so he's definitely done what he needed. Chris Fielder has stayed out. That was his car we just saw make its way through. Nergard is now moving. That's not Liam Page, that's Liam Page. He's on the start-finish straight, and he is ahead of Nergard. So to Joe Boyle. 4th position then for Boyle. Nergard, his teammate, didn't have the best start. I was going to say his teammate Nergard didn't have the best start. But yeah, for Joe Boyle, once again, you said it yourself at the start of the programme, and he's absolutely done your opening comments proud, and doesn't always get it done in qualifying against some of these drivers who can. But in the race, he's got racecraft, he's going to make up places. He's currently running 4th in class.
Yeah, again, another example of Joe Boyle's racecraft, how he's able to just run his own race, move himself up through the field pretty faultlessly. Doesn't have any incidents with anybody, and yeah, it's pretty much a flawless drive through the field without needing to do too much apart from just have a race where you run your own strategy, you know. And that's pretty much been his, I wouldn't say it's his philosophy, because I'm sure he would love to qualify higher, but that's pretty much how his championship's been. Like I said, he's hovering around the top 10 in qualifying. He can't get the pace out of that Mercedes in qualifying, but then at the end of every round, he's always there or thereabouts inside the top 5, making up positions left, right and centre. So, another fantastic result from Joe Boyle in this one.
Indeed it is, yeah, and it does strengthen the number of drivers inside that top 10 driving for the RTO team. Of course, Sigurd Revsig up on the top spot, not available to race this evening, and I would give you an update on it, but that's completely frozen, so we'll want oh no, there we go. Yeah, so Watts is going to continue. He is going to take over the top spot. But yeah, Boyle. Unfortunately, he actually did have a really unlucky race. Race 1 finished 16th. But an 8th 2 races ago. And a 5th in the last race. And then a 4th on the cards in this race. So certainly trending in the right direction. And the RTO team and Linksay putting in some great races in this season. Danzer and Ranjbar, both of them, they're going to have to split driver of the day. I would say for having a driver of the race, it's going to have to be these two. They've been absolutely inseparable. Has it overall been detrimental? There was a 47-second gap between themselves and their championship leader, or race leader anyway, in the class, Chris Fielder. He's now got Dan Watts just behind him. 4 minutes left to go with a long lap. So he is, you would think, going to come into the pits on this one. Watts a good chunk down on Mollinger, who has absolutely not put a foot wrong. He's lapping just as quickly and consistently as he was going into pits now that he has taken that pit stop. Hasn't quite gone any quicker than the 153.2. Ridiculous.
Only the 153.2. Yeah.
I know, I was about to say.
His fastest race lap on full fuel
Yeah.
is faster than the next person in qualifying. So, yeah, that goes to show.
Yeah, so I was just about to say, we were talking about how the lap times are going to get quicker as the fuel load lightens. Well, yeah, Mollinger already setting world-class qualifying laps in the race, early doors. But is likely to hit a 52. 3 minutes left to go. And Chris Fielder still to take the pit stop. So this is the final question that needs answered in this race. He is on the back straight and he is going to have to come on this lap. Well, less than 3 minutes to go.
I think Dancer's going to try and move on this final lap as well. He's been mighty close all race. I think he's been eyeing it up for this final lap of the race.
Lulling Ranjbar into... Oh, there he goes.
He's making the move now. Here we go. Hanging it right round the outside. Ranjbar hasn't got an answer on the brakes.
Oh, yes, he does. Or does he?
Dancer's got the inside line. This is going to be fantastic going down onto the back straight. Outside the inside manoeuvre.
Oh,
In fact, I would say Dancer's too close to Ranjbar coming onto the back straight. He probably would have had to lift there so they didn't have any contact. But yeah, this is where the move's definitely going to be made now, isn't it? He's right on the bumper of the Aston Martin of Ranjbar. Ranjbar's not going to have an answer.
No, he absolutely is not, and it is job done for the BMW in a straight line. Although, did he get that done a bit early? Let's get the helicap and see what's going on. He has got his nose in front. He's round the outside. Oh, has he lost too much momentum? No, he has not. Did either driver pick up a little penalty there that were right over those white boards as we're watching this? Chris Fielder has, of course, come into the pits. Was this a battle for the lead of the race? Or is this simply the final 2 podium positions up for grabs? It's David Danzer that's looking like he's on the 2nd spot at the moment. They do seem to be a fair bit back still, just coming in to the final corner now. Chris Fielder has been released and is rolling. David Danzer heavy on the brakes, back on the accelerator out of the last corner. Himself and Ranjbar being pulled along into turn number 1. And where is Chris Fielder? He's moved on the board. There he is there. He's already gone. So he has already gone, but they have got themselves pretty close. So a great effort by Danzer and Ranjbar to close that gap. And Ranjbar absolutely not giving this one up. He's going for a repeat of the last lap. Oh, he's just behind, looking for the inside line. No door open there. Petrovic's just taking his pit stop as well, so he's going to drop down the order. He's not sitting second. There's Dancer and Ranjbar making their way through. The leader is on the final lap. He is in an absolute world of his own. 31 laps in. And Joe Boyle has just got a move done on Liam Page. Let's just...
racing.
Unbelievable from Linksy. Well, it's not unbelievable. It's Linksy. It's perfectly believable. Let's watch this replay then. So in the last corner, not the last corner, the final sector.
The last corner before the straight, yeah.
Yeah. That's the one.
Slipstream again. The slipstream, isn't it? That's what it is.
I don't know if that's slipstream. That is some effort.
There'll be a massive closing bump draft on this. There must be.
Oh yeah. Oh, he's moved over to try and shake off the slip. Look at the speed difference. I didn't think the slipstream would have that much effect, but it definitely does. Linksy using it beautifully. Takes the outside line. No contact, obviously, between these two. And it is a podium for Joe Boyle. Talk about the racecraft. There it is on display. Makes up 7 places and gets himself onto the podium. Phenomenal driving. Liam Page certainly hasn't given this one up at all. Jonathan Reed not too far behind either. Could he potentially be a fly in the ointment for Page as well? Mollinger though, he's coming through the final sector now. It was his debut race here at SOP. Got it done at the boss's favourite track at Paul Ricard. Coming round at the last corner of the TMMS Performance car. Number 10, Marco Mollinger, take a bow. Pole position in qualifying. Lights to flag. Absolutely flawless drive there. Fastest lap as well. Obviously, 1 minute 53.267. Dan Watts for RTO does his championship chances the world of good. Bringing it home in second place with, as I say, it's a good revsig missing from this round. That is absolutely game on. Liam Page needed as many points as he could get this week. He's going to start in fourth. He's going to finish ahead, finish in fourth and finish ahead of Reed by the looks of it, which is exactly what he needs to do. Final podium position though.
Ranjbar and Dancer.
Oh, it's still going at it. Oh, obviously they are. Dancer, this is for the final podium position in the silvers. Chris Fielder's got this one sold up 6 seconds. The gap got down to. So phenomenal drive from these two drivers that took their pit stops at the end of lap 1 and lap 4 respectively. It was Dancer on lap 4, sorry, Ranjbar on lap number 1 at the end of lap 1, and they're still battling right down to the end. Jonathan Reed and Liam Page are within 3/10 and they've all crossed the line safely, so that's okay. There was ever such a slight panic there. Abrin Hossa and Danzer out of the last corner. It's going to be a drag race. It's going to be Danzer that does win that drag race, but it is Chris Fielder who crosses the line. We missed him taking the checkered flag there. Apologies, Chris, but he did win the silver class, so that's Danzer in second. Ranjbar in third. Abrin Hossa is going to get himself fourth with Petrovics in fifth position. So that was the silver class, but Marco Mollinger and all the podium, big shout out to, for me, 4 of the drivers there. Mollinger, Boyle, Danzer, Ranjbar. Very, 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 very good performances from all the drivers, but those 4 especially, from what we saw, race IQ, race strategy, battling, whatever you want to call it, those 4 definitely put on the performances they needed tonight.
I couldn't have said it any better, John. I don't have anything to add to that. Yeah, that's you summed up that race perfectly. You know, Mollinger half a minute ahead of everybody else. Fantastic drive from Linksy up to P3 on the podium. Fantastic racing between Dancer and Ranjbar for pretty much the entire race. They kept it clean. Fielder just pulled away from everybody else in the silver class as well. That is probably going to be enough for him to take the lead of the championship heading into the final round. And the final round being at Spa, the drives have got to mull over it for a week because we got a week off until the final round. But then, when we do get to Spa-Francorchamps, it's all to play for in both classes between at least 5 drivers in the Pro and at least 5 drivers in the Silver. you just know there's going to be absolute carnage for the championship finale.
There is Linksay in the chat. Woo! He says, what a race, guys. Linksay, you were just getting extra credit there at the end. Phenomenal racecraft and race IQ, mate. Great overtakes at the end, up onto that podium spot. RTO, absolutely a force to be reckoned with in this championship. And Linksay getting the job done for them. Along with the rest of the drivers in that team. So phenomenal stuff. Congratulations again to everyone that took part and made it to the end of the race. A few bumps and bruises for some of the drivers. As you can see here, the Honda just losing on the curbs. The stewards may be looking to get involved. But again, Simon, quick shout out to our sponsors, SIMSTAFF. Their QR code is on the screen. And as you were saying earlier, they've got themselves a new magazine with employment opportunities right across the board, worldwide as well, in the sim racing sector.
Yeah. Thank you to SIMSTAFF for sponsoring this series. We've got one more round to go now. You can also check out their website. I need to find that link.
Oh, I think I do. Oh, I'm sure I had that.
Nope, it's lost me. If you've got it, John, that'd be amazing to post to SIMSTAFF.
I've just typed in. I've just
website. Okay, yeah, lovely. Okay, yeah.
Yep,
check them out. They're been fantastic sponsors of ours for this sprint series. Pushing out a brand new newsletter for esports and sim racing and gaming careers all over the world.
Yeah, so massive thanks to them. Like we were saying, there's a QR code on the screen. SIMSTAFF, get yourself involved. Massive thanks to them for sponsoring the series. Let me just see if I can get the raid working. What is the raid command? Is it / or exclamation mark?
It should be /.
Yeah. Invalid username. That's not a valid username. Okay, we can't get the raid working. Apologies. I'm going to go and jump over. We're going to go and see Mr. Linksay, of course. In fact, am I typing that in his chat? No, I'm not. I was going to say, I think I'm typing a raid in his chat. But there is Linksay's chat. He always has him and the RTO guys been getting involved in the racing, and he does do a bit of analysis and stuff after the races, so it's always good to jump on board and watch that. So yeah, jump on over and see Linksay. I will be / raid.
It is / yeah.
And then do you use an @ Linksay, or is it just no,
not that
/ raid. Nope. It really does not like me. And I'm a moderator on this channel, I promise.
Oh well, no worries.
No. But yeah, jump on over to Linksay's channel. I will try and get this working. Honestly, worst streamer ever. But yeah, jump over, give Linksay a shout. He knows what he's doing.
There we go, I done it. There we go.
Look at that. Simon doing moderator things.
Crazy.
Excellent stuff. What a world we live in. What a time to be alive.
Okay, right. Let's say goodbye then.
Let's do it, you guys. Thank you to SIMSTAFF. Thank you to everybody else. Thank you, of course, Mr. SOP himself, Simon Baggas, joining me again this week.
No worries, John, no worries. We'll see you for the finale, I'm sure.
Indeed we will at Spa. Cannot wait. So until we all meet again, enjoy Linksay's analysis of the race. The raid will tick over in a few seconds. Remember and jump on the QR code as well. Give SIMSTAFF's new newsletter a look over. Like I say, worldwide jobs in the sim racing industry. let's face it, make some money doing your hobby. What more could you possibly want? But until we are back again with more world-class racing from world-class drivers, enjoy Linksay this evening, and we shall see you all very soon. Stay safe, take it easy, and have a great rest of your night. Good night.